Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending where you're at. YouTube's Man Always George Page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk, coming to you live on YouTube. Well, folks, um, it's March. It is a new month. It's the third month of the year, and I'm telling you, time is flying. We're already, it's the first full week of March. Last month was the end of the month, and also the start of the new month. So now it's the first week. So anyway, folks, over the weekend was a big show. One of the biggest shows in bodybuilding was the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic. That's been around for a long time, and there's been some debate about how it's one of the few shows that doesn't have that represents every female bodybuilding division. It's mostly fitness, wellness, and bikini, and one of the men's divisions, which I don't care about because hey, who cares? So anyway, I have some people coming here, some guests, and we're going to talk about this and give our thoughts on the debate. We have one here, one lovely lady y'all should recognize, the lovely Mrs. Eunice Martinez Kitchen here. Yeah, welcome. Yeah, my dear friend here. I like to appreciate it coming through. The queen of the bad rap. And welcome, ma'am.
Hey, George, glad to be here. And, I've been looking forward to this because it's been a while since I've talked to you live. And really do
Yeah, I
appreciate
know.
everything that you do for us with Bad Rap because we're really trying to get the brand out there and trying to
Yeah.
do what we
Well,
can for women. So we're doing our part.
I appreciate that for you, and I hope the best for you and the bad rap Brad. And I know she's growing, and also people who are interested in it. I will leave the link to a bad rap in the description. You want to check her out if you're someone who is interested in maybe buying gear stuff like that for yourself, like gear mean clothes, not the other gear. Go to Unisys. Okay, and also we have here a special guest. She's been here before. We have here the art of female muscle. Welcome, brother. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going, man? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. I can hear you great. And I appreciate
Good.
you coming through because you came here last week and we talked about another discussion. So, anyway,
Yeah.
folks, as you know, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic is gone and done. It was one of the shows, the first pro IFB Pro show for the year. Also, it was the also that week. Also, early that week, you had the amateur Arnold, and it was very not so good for either women's body in um, either women's bodybuilding or uh, physique because there was only three competitors for that division. One lady competed in women's bodybuilding, the other three competed in physique. Same three ladies, and the big question is maybe if there was women's bodybuilding at the show, it'd be more incentive for some of the competitors to compete, or just as you know, timing. Sometimes you have we just did the nationals almost a couple of months ago, But I want to get you both you Eunice and Art your thoughts.
I'll let Jeremy start.
Okay, Jen, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I wasn't going to say anything at all or post anything on my IG about the Arnold Sports Festival because I pretty much had it with them. I mean, with all the crap that's been going on with them ever since 2013, I was like, it just multiplied on top of itself. First, they got rid of the Miss International with a 35-year history, and then they got rid of women's physique. And then, oh, geez. Then I posted on my IG and said, I hope Figure realizes that they're next on the chopping block. 72 hours after I posted that, what do? They get rid of it. So it's like, oh my goodness. But yeah, I think the fact that the pro divisions are not there has something to do with it. I mean, if you're a fan of WBB or WPD and it's not there on the pro level, I mean, and then also there's no incentive for them to show up because it was interesting looking over at the IFBB rules concerning this. It's like the minimum five competitor rule. It's not there at all for female bodybuilding at all. I mean, they don't even have that listed under the rules. So if I'm interpreting that correctly, regardless if there were enough competitors or not, they still wouldn't have gotten pro cards. And I'm still trying to figure out what on earth is going on with that. So I
Mm.
mean, it's like that's the one and only division that you're going to decide to cut out of this, and then why? So I guess I'm not really too surprised as to a small turnout for those reasons.
Yeah, because I interviewed a young lady last year. Her name is Jerissa Upton, excuse me, and Jerissa competed there. Her and it was another lady by name Lisa, I think Cerise Hayes and Nina Beans. There were only four competitors left, and they each competed in both women's bodybuilding and physique. And because there was enough bodies, they decided to not give a pro card. And then that year, last year, they added women's bodybuilding. So what's the point of adding a division where it's supposed to be opportunity for a pro card, or if the one thing they just want to get the money?
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. So
Yeah,
I'd like to hear what Eunice has to say about it. What does
yeah,
she
yeah,
think?
yeah.
Well, I agree with you, Jeremy. This is a small community, and as women bodybuilders and physique competitors, we stick together. So whenever we're not wanted somewhere, we go somewhere else. And I really feel like this show that's coming up that Andrea and Whitney and Cindy are putting together, I think those numbers, I think people are really going to show up for that. And so I hope so, because like I said, we flock to where we're wanted, where we're supported, where we're appreciated.
Yeah, because also you have, shout out to Jake Wood. I gotta say it, sound say his name. I have to do it. Yo, Jake, I want that money. I want that gun. I gotta. Anytime I say his name, I gotta say it. And he created the Rising Phoenix when women's bodybuilding got pushed out of the Olympia back in 2014. Spent next thing you know, boom, was Rising Phoenix, and it's also a show where it's just strictly for the ladies, all divisions. No banana hammocks and board shorts. And and shout out to Sydney and Andrea and also to Whitney for what they're doing. And also Natalia Coelho, she's also sponsoring stuff. I think I'm surprised Sarah's not part of this because she should be, but I know Sarah, she put her money towards the Pittsburgh Pro and also the Texas Pro. And this is I wasn't a big fan of Sarah Vegas, but I gotta give respect for what she's been doing. Like she posted this on her IG where it says $5,000 for men's open winner, no women's physique, no women's figure, and no women's bodybuilding. Don't care about 212. And that's crazy because it was this year. Heidi Chopin won $300,000, and now they're going to up the prize to $500,000. Now the Olympic prize is $400,000. Before that was $450,000. So is the big question is since Jake promotes that show, will he up it up to compete with the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic? So, what's y'all thoughts on that?
He may. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to get some competition. I mean, basically, Arnold is throwing down a gauntlet to him. So is he going to pick it up or not? But it's that particular post that just really set me off about this whole situation about the women's divisions not being at the Arnold. Behind all the bullshit that they basically have been coming out with for the last 11 years, the main argument as to why they don't have it is money. As they keep saying, oh, it was a difficult financial decision. Oh, it was a hard thing for us to do. You just scraped up $200,000 that you're going to give to one guy at the show next year. And you're telling me you don't have money for these other three divisions? Really? It's like when I posted on my IG, where it's like that's like a major company saying, "Oh, we're making the difficult financial decision of laying off thousands and thousands of workers," and then at the same time, you give the CEO of that same company an $80 million bonus. I mean, you think maybe some of that money could be used to, I don't know, save those jobs? It's the same thing here. It's like you guys were able to come up with $200,000. You think maybe some of that money could have been diverted to be able to bring the three women's divisions back? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
from now on, with this decision, they can never at any time say that money was the issue, ever.
Mhm.
They can
Mm-hmm.
never, ever do that. So it's clear as a bell that money is not a problem. If your show is such that you can scrape up $250,000 extra dollars to go to one person, right there you have the capacity to get the money to be able to bring the women's divisions back.
Mm-hmm.
So they can never use that argument ever again.
Yeah.
That's a good argument. Really true.
Yeah.
the whole thing I hate about it is they've forgotten the roots. Um, Back in the 80s and 90s when they brought women's bodybuilding in, that's when bodybuilding actually made it mainstream. We went to ESPN. I don't think it would have gone mainstream if women had not been in it, um, because that's what brought people out. I mean, shows were sold out back then. The
Hmm.
crowds would cheer. The crowds, I mean, they really got into it. But without women back then, bodybuilding wouldn't be where it's at today for men. Period.
Because remember, that's how come they decided to take and make the Olympia one big weekend instead of okay. You expect the men's Olympia will be on this it'll be around about maybe about first of the month, it'll be after the Arnold, and the women's Olympia will be later on the year. And now they say, well, let's have one big weekend. We have both divisions. And it wasn't for women's bodybuilding, you wouldn't have fitness. You wouldn't have, figure. You wouldn't have physique. Because technically, to me, this is how I think about it. And also, it inspired the other men's divisions to evolve too, because they had to catch up with the women. And then we look at divisions like bikini and wellness. No offense to those, but that is more like basically like if you know about in Florida. I told this before when I was talking to Didi how there's a lot of iguanas. Iguanas are not naturally born in Florida; they're from other parts of the world. People bring them in pets and then they let them out, whatever. They become what you call an invasive species. That's what wellness and figure is. They wasn't really part. They were just brought in, And truthfully, in a way, bodybuilding this style is kind of like a bikini and evolved. So he decided to take something else and bring it in because it looked more aesthetically pleasing, and it's a lot fast turnarounds. Here we got here for man KL the Wanderer. He coming through. Shout out KL. He says, "Good afternoon, appreciate brother. Good afternoon." And he says, "What about 212?" Say, what's 212 about? 212 is like the smaller guys, the guys who are at least like shorter dudes who don't put it like Heidi Chopin. I think was a 212 guy. So he went up to men's body. That's why I say I know I was talking with one person, like it can be difficult for these guys at 212 to get bigger, but all you gotta do is put on maybe 10, 15, 20 more pounds compared to which in women's bodybuilding and other divisions, it's just another standard. And I say like this, I don't really, and then you got more shows still. Also, he said this says, I agree with Mrs. Kitchen. The women were on TV in the talk shows back in the days. Yeah, and also, also stop shitting on bikini. I'm not shitting on. I'm just telling my thoughts. It's not shitting. I'm just because it's not true. Like, truthfully, also because it's been in the IFB so long, it evolved. Bikini girls couldn't compete with the girls in the old like Hawaiian tropic competitions or the Hooters competitions. They couldn't compete because their level of muscle. They're not that far from maybe the women who started in bodybuilding around about the 70s. They even surpassed them. They even surpassed someone like Richard McLeish or even Corey Everson early in her career. Anybody's got to say something?
I am sorry, I
Well,
spaced out
I've
for a
yet to
minute.
see any bikini. I've yet to see any bikini girl with Corey Everson package.
Right, same here. So,
Yeah. Well, if you look at the girls now, they are a little bit. If you compare to how bodybuilding evolved, even women like the first everybody this is one of these girls who physique competitors. Their favorite person always going to say is Dana Bailey. If you look at Dana Bailey, she wasn't able to stand to like side by side with Sarah Vilgas or even Jessica Reyes Padilla, you know, and figure girls could blow her out, you know. And then we mentioned this before, one person that was really the most dominant champion in the division of physique was Julia McCartney. And Julia had a great look, great muscle, very feminine. But I remember my man Keith said that she had to tone it down because she was getting bigger and bigger. And you look at Shanique Grant, they even told her that they want her to move up, but she said nah, she didn't want to do it because she didn't want to get that big. So that's why she's now. I think this year she's supposed to come back doing, um, you know, uh, 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 wellness. And indeed, go back to like this is a picture I like to see here. Someone like you know, Paula Suzuki. Even now, she'll be still compared a little smaller to women in bodybuilding and just maybe slightly bigger than some women in physique. Like she's kind of like in between.
I think she still looks huge to me.
Yeah,
She does look big.
yeah.
She does look really big.
She still
But
looks
then you
like a
put
bodybuilder.
But
yeah,
that's what
they put
going back to that post that you just made about the 212. How ironic is it that the men's 212 was the excuse for getting rid of the Women's Miss International in the first place? Was the introduction of that division in. I mean, let me read to you. This is the exact announcement that they gave back then in 2013. Arnold Sports Festival was proud to support women's bodybuilding through the Miss International for the past quarter century, but in keeping with demands of our fans, the time has come to introduce the Arnold Classic 212 beginning in 2014. We're excited to create a professional competitive platform for some of the IFBB Pro League's most popular competitors. And now that division is gone. So the very division that kicked out the Miss International in the first place is itself gone. I mean, does the BS not end with these people? Really?
just
It's like that's why and prior to that post coming out with Sarah, I was pretty much just done with the ASF anyway. I mean, it's like it's bullshit after bullshit after bullshit. It's what it's been now for 11 years.
well, I post something because I had to give recognition to the fitness women because fitness is one of the oldest women's divisions right in bodybuilding. And I interviewed a young lady who's competed that show, Anna Famina. I wanted to give her a shout out because, you know, also you just saw Tamara Vaughn. I think she got injured doing her routine. And I posted also on my IG. I really feel for I like her. I mean, she's a great person, has a good personality. I think they might be talk of her maybe, I don't know, switching over the figure. You think she'd do well in figure?
Perhaps. I mean, it's the only real difference between fitness and figure as far as the there's not much of a difference in terms of the look. There's just what has traditionally been the only difference is the aerobic routine that
Mhm.
they have for the night show. Traditionally, they're supposed to be essentially the same, just one has the routine and the other doesn't. So, I mean, there is a possibility. So,
Yeah, and you know, I remember one lady who was competing in the show, Mina. I forgot how to spell her name. The one from Finland. She had an injury, and why? Because she was recovering from injury, she was doing physique for a good minute. Jody Bone, she's been to Olympia as both as a fitness and a physique competitor, and she competed in figure. And you know, right now the former champ, Missy Trescott, she's recovering. I think that might be a good idea for her to maybe do that for a while she can fully recover. That it takes a while. If you ever stories I hear about, I have knee problems too. I haven't had surgery yet, so I'm trying to avoid that as long as I can. But it takes a while to recover, especially if you have to jump around, flip around.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. What are your thoughts, Eunice?
yeah.
My thoughts about what?
Oh,
About what do you think of the people he's mentioned possibly moving up to different divisions like Missy Truscott, etc.?
Oh yeah, Missy, she's a figure girl. I mean, she could even compete physique. Um, you really can't tell the difference to me between figure and physique. Besides, give me some high heels and I'll look like a figure girl. Um, you really can't tell the difference at this point, and I really think it gets down to what the judges really look for. Being inconsistent with what they tell us that they're looking for, and then you get to a show and they reward the opposite. Um, so it's all to me. It's about the judges need to get back to what they define as what they're going to be looking for. Because as a competitor, we're going to get ourselves in the condition that's going to reward us. Because it's not an easy sport. It's a sport where you give up a lot. It's not just costly, but you give up a lot of time, time spent with family. Um, it's a lot. And so when we look at the criteria that the judges say they're looking for, but they reward something else, then we start to chase and we start to condition ourselves in for what we see they're rewarding.
yeah, because I talked to some girls who tell me, okay, they the judge said they want more feminine look, but then they tell you, hey, we need you to get bigger. Even telling girls in figure, hey, you need more size in your lats. We don't want too much gyrations in the glutes. That's the telling girls bikini, and even well, wellness. I think that's unavoidable against gyration in glutes because you have to do a lot of training with your legs. You got to bring them to a certain size, certain look. It's divisions where you can look kind of uneven, compared to bikini and the other divisions.
Yeah, that's the other one is just the change in figure. It's like I've looked over in some IG profiles, and it's like I'm looking at these girls, and I'm like, okay, well, she looks like she's going to be a great physique competitor. It turns out she's a figure pro. I'm like, what? With the level of muscle you got in your frame, you're still a figure pro. And I look at this, it's like, what do you guys think? Do you think that judging is the only reason why we're seeing the blending, like what appears to be the blending of the divisions? Are there any other factors beyond that?
Evolution of athletes.
Taking, when you can go to a show and you can cross over, I think that's caused a lot of what we're seeing right now. Um, because if you can compete in WPD and then compete also in women's bodybuilding, then that just opens up the well, I can be bigger because now I'm going to compete in women's bodybuilding too. So um, I think maybe restricting at this level that you can't cross over. It has to be either one or the other. I think that would help with bringing in and increasing participation in different categories.
Mhm. Yeah,
Hmm.
because I recently interviewed Blanca Rodriguez, and Blanca, she's an IFB pro, and last year she double dipped. She did both figure and physique, but she says she's going to stick with physique. And she has that look. That I think this is her as she's wearing the high heels, and then you look at her as as a physique competitor. I keep saying this, the lines are so blurred between them because there's not that much difference yet, other than maybe truthfully the high heels. That's really it. You have some girls in figure who have bigger lats than some women in physique and women's bodybuilding. And then there's some girls who would say that they don't want to go up because the fact is they feel like if they go up they lose their femininity. But then I've seen girls who were doing one point they were doing figure and then they jump over to wellness, where they should have went ahead and go up to physique because your body's telling you, especially the younger competitors. My phone.
Oh, sorry, that's
Yeah.
mine.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Just put you on mute for a minute. If you.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, that's all right. So if you feel like, all right, you get into sport, understand you're going to evolve, you're going to grow, you're going to change. It's no point trying to squeeze yourself in the divisions that work for you. If you're a bikini girl and you start getting styration in the glutes, you start getting wider lats, you have bigger, developing your shoulders, go up the figure. If you're a figure girl, when you start getting more size, you start getting those rounder, fuller muscle bellies. You look more leaner. Then go up to physique. And if you're a physique competitor, who yes, physique competitor, I've seen that should go up to women's bodybuilding. They should, but they always going to like one example is you know I talked this before. I said Anne Lorraine Moon because I know Art, her Anne Lorraine Moon. She's out this year because of a knee injury. I said that she said nah, she want to go up to it. And I remember Barbara Marjana interview told her that that's one reason they want to go to win bodybuilding because it's not very popular in Europe. They want to win bigger. But if you look at her, I saw there's a picture of her standing with Julia Wetzel. And if you look at her and Julia, Julia was a physique competitor, but Anne's not that far from Julia.
Yeah, and it's just, but one big concern, I think that a realistic concern that's got to be taken into consideration with a move like that is what we were talking about earlier, finances. I mean, the higher up you go, I mean, if you're wanting to have the best financial options available to you in terms of sponsorship and stuff like that, there's not a lot of incentive for a bikini girl to move up to one of the more muscular divisions. I mean, even though their body is telling them, it says, yeah, even though their physiology is such that they put on muscle really easily and quickly, I mean, they also have to take into consideration the financial realities, because if they do move up, yeah, it'll be good in terms of their bodies, but it won't be good in terms of their wallet.
Mhm.
So, and unfortunately, I don't think that's really fair, but nevertheless, that's the reality.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think a lot of the bikini girls make their money on the back end. I mean, like if you think about it, if Heidi Chopin is going to get, next year $500,000 for winning his division, what do the other divisions get? I mean, I don't think it's much. So you have to make your money on the back end. That's why, as I said before, like a lot of the women who do compete in bodybuilding, they have to, if they're lucky enough to have a sponsorship, like I know UniShoe sponsors some competitors. My man Glenn just recently sponsored your arch nemesis, Ashley Jones, and those are the few lucky ones who get sponsors. But it's a lot harder for, I think, for like women in physique and in figure. Figure girls just kind of wedge in a little bit, but then if you look at it, some of them do have more muscle than most girls in bikini or wellness.
Yeah.
We got a comment from man Lawrence Perkins, and he says, "Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday and motivation. Thank you, Lawrence, for coming through." And
Yeah.
again, is with Arnold. Mr. National preceded the Arnold, but then it was called, I think it was called the Columbus Sports Festival originally, and then Arnold bought it, took it over, and then when he became governor, as you know, most politicians, if you have any kind of business, you have to give it up. Like dumbass in chief, I call him. He had to give up his business when he became president. So Arnold had to give it, run the, pretty much running the All Sports Classic. But he's still there because he's a figure here. The show has his name, I remember watching some of the old shows where he was sitting there in the audience to like cheering the women, yeah, yeah, yeah. But now it's just, I understand his reluctance, because the fact is how the the divisions have evolved. He even shits on men's bodybuilding because that's why he likes classic, because it reminds him of where he used to be back in the day, like the Frank Zanes and the Lila Bradas and the Lee Heenies and those guys.
Yeah, but it's like, you also have either of you watched the documentary Too Big for the World with
I've seen
Irene
some of it.
Emerson?
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
some of it.
And that's her main goal in that documentary, is to talk to Arnold and find out, why is this gone? Why is this history from was there? And then I believe it was Arnold's trainer, at least that's what the person says. He flat out says in the documentary he doesn't like you big girls. So again, it's like when they give the argument, oh well, it's finances. It's like, by the looks of it, no, that isn't the case, especially not after what's gone on this year. So it's like, it's got to be something else. It's got to be something other than finances. I think it really honestly just simply comes down to, they don't want big muscular girls at the show. But I'm like, it's bodybuilding. What do you think is not, they're not going to be women like that? And then also, they pointed out, I said there should be a stage for everybody. Well, female bodybuilders are part of everybody. So if you're gonna make a claim like that, if you're gonna make a statement like that, you should be allowing women bodybuilders at your show. Otherwise, you're not being consistent with what you're telling people.
Eunice?
Yeah,
Well, I just think, it's just time to focus on something different, different show, leave it alone. And we all get together and start to focus on, um, a show that is going to host and include women's bodybuilding,
Mhm.
women's
and that
physique.
Yeah.
show, is the Triple O Dynasty, which is
There
going
you
to be
Shout
go.
out,
coming up next
shout
month.
out to
And
shout
Shout
out
out to
to
Low. Yep.
yeah,
shout out to Sydney, shout out to Whitney, but mostly shout out to Andrea. Ah, I love you so, Andrea. I know I sound stalkerish. I still thank you, you for getting the autograph magazine for me. And then right now, shout out to my man, my big brother Keith. He's a little bit under the weather. he sent me this. And I don't know why I keep see. I don't know why I keep showing this. I don't know why. I don't know. He just taunting me. Like he just okay, calm down. You're okay, big brother. Shout out to you. I hope you're doing well. We'll be back here next time. We'll shoot the shit again. But get your hands off a woman. You got a wife. Get your hand off my girl. You got a wife. I don't got no wife. But yeah, because let's focus on shows like The Rising Phoenix and also the Triple O Dynasty. There's also a new show coming up in Anaheim. It's called the Grand Prix Titan. I think the Grand Prix Titan, and it's going to be the first bodybuilding show in maybe almost 15 years in California. And bodybuilding, was really where really had its roots in California. And I think there hadn't been a show for women's bodybuilding in California, not even other than maybe amateur shows, but really pro level shows in maybe 15 years or more.
Yeah, I just love the fact that Andrea and Whitney and Sid and Natalia were all able to put that show together, because even they've been, this is the way I see it, is that they've been very professional and they've been very tactful as to how they're approaching the whole situation with their show and the Arnold. And I'm like, the thing is, it's like this is basically the women flipping the bird to the Arnold Sports Festival and saying, hey guys, fine. You want to kick us out? Fine. We are going to go off, do our own thing. And I think that's wonderful. I think that's fantastic. And just the fact that they've gotten the support also of the IFBB Pro League, they've been able to, all four of them have been able to collaborate together now on this. I think that's fantastic. So it's like you said, it's like the old saying, it's better to light a candle than to merely curse the darkness. So I think it's wonderful that they've done that. And they've provided this opportunity for the women in those divisions to be able to shine at the beginning of the year. So it's like they've said in their stories. It's like they said, okay, you're going to take a stage, we're going to provide one. So I think it's a wonderful development. Be interesting to see what the fallout is with this decision, with their decision to move the prize money up to 500K, because almost every woman that I've seen post in WPD and WBB has said this is a horrible decision on their part. I'm just wondering how much of that is going to push people towards the Triple O Dynasty show and make it grow because of that, because of the negative publicity they're going to get from it.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I think they already announced that Judah Wetzel is going to compete in, Michelle Bogdan, Gina Cavallero, and also Teresa Vasic throw their names in the hat for women's bodybuilding. I don't know who throw their names hat for physique or figure yet. I think one person I know is going to be the usual suspect is Jessica Reyes Padilla. She does almost like 5-10 shows. She's about as bad as Natalia doing shows. Maybe so I'm trying to think who else physique. Maybe like a lot of girls who, because they're going to have it in Arizona, so that's close to some women competing. I remember talking Andrew Sauer said she would love to do a show closer for her in California, because she lives in California. Other ladies say they love to do a show closer to the west, so I have to go away to New York or to Tampa to do a show. And I remember I sent it to Andrea. Andrea. She said, dang, she's not competing this year, but she's hoping that both those shows will be back for next year. So you got to keep our fingers crossed. If we get a good enough people, and truthfully, I wish I might watch the live stream. I most definitely watch the live stream. I wish personally I could go myself. I don't fly a plane, so but it's good that the women saying, you know what, we don't need you, Arnold. You can have your regular show.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
So I had a question for Eunice. Can you explain more about how Bad Rap started? How your company got started? And then also, are you involved sponsor-wise with the Triple O Dynasty or with any other women's shows?
Okay, so let's start with how it started. It started because I guess I've talked to you before, Jeremy, about how I'm an original. I started back in 1987. I've been a fan of every Olympian women bodybuilder. I've followed each one. I started at the age of 15 because my dad built Rachel McLeish's gym, and that was my first exposure to women's bodybuilding. I fell in love with that look, and I knew that that was what I wanted to do in life and what I wanted to be. Um, I competed for, I guess it was till the year 1998. And then I started focusing on career because back then, of course, we didn't have a lot of chances to turn pro, not like it is today. Um, and so I started focusing more on career, and I took a 24-year layoff. And as the Masters division became popular, I thought, you know what? What if I go back now? Because I always lived the lifestyle and competed. I wonder if I could turn pro. And so that's what I did. 2019, I came back on the scene, competed in Texas, and then competed in 2021, and then went to Masters Nationals in 2022. And that's when I turned pro for women's bodybuilding and women's physique. When I returned, that's when I noticed that there was a lack of women bodybuilders. Um, the participation was low. I was shocked by the price that it costs to compete nowadays.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I figured that maybe, when I heard people, when I would ask them, well, why don't you compete? You look, you should be up on stage. A lot of women say, well, it's really expensive to compete and I don't have that type of income, just laying around. So as I came back to the scene, of course, I met my business partner and my training partner. And as we progressed into, Masters division competing, it was something that I thought, what if we started something that would give back, that would help to increase participation, that would help keep this sport from dying, because I don't want to see women's bodybuilding die. So it's time for me to step up and do something. And so my friend Jojo, my training partner, also agreed, well, let's do something. And bad rap has been a slogan of mine since I opened Muscles and Curves Gym back in 1991. My husband was Big Will and I was the Defined. And so we were always called the Big and Defined. And then at times, when I got ready for show, people would say, look at Eunice, she's ripped. And look at Willie, he's pumped. And so our slogan back at Muscles and Curves was Big and Defined, ripped and pumped. And so as we think about the bad rap that women's bodybuilding is getting now, I thought, man, that would be like the name to use, because we're going to turn it into something positive. We're going to show women and we're going to show everyone the beauty behind being big and defined, ripped and pumped. And it's a process. We don't always look that big. We don't always look that pumped. We don't always look that ripped, but we're beautiful at any stage, because the art of muscle is, to me, is the epitome of beauty. And so we said, why don't we start with an apparel line, and we start sharing the profits with athletes who could use the help, or just anybody, that if we could help someone to alleviate a little bit of the expense, whether it's through hair, whether it's through makeup, whether it's to tan, then that's what bad rap stands for. We're giving back.
Excuse me for a second, Eunice. We just had somebody's pop in the IG here into the stream, and this is the former 2022 Miss Olympia Physique Champion, Natalia Cuejo.
Oh,
Started
wow.
watching a little behind,
Wow.
not live. Yes,
Awesome.
I'm also part of the Triple O Dynasty. Yeah, well, Natalia, we are live. If you want to come
Please
in,
join us. Please
yeah,
join us,
there's a
Natalia,
link
by
in
all
the link
means.
is posted in the in the top of the comment section. You want to join in and give your thoughts, especially you are a former champion. You were the last winner of Miss International Physique back in 2020. And I think you have also, you posted that you're not too happy about the decision of women's physique getting pushed out. But if you want to join us, let us know. If not, we appreciate you coming through and thank you for your support. We got here. This is from my man Lawrence says this. He says, everyone's coming together, including help each other. I believe the legacy of the sport continue to go stronger. Also, this is from my man Davius Adams. He says, hi, units from Instagram. And
Hey, Damaris.
also, he says he agrees. And, and also we got here, this is from Natalia says, uh, George, thank you for always supporting our women's division. Well, you're welcome, Natalia. Before, I wasn't a big fan of women's physique. I called it watered down women's bodybuilding, but, doing content on you ladies, and, it's great. I wasn't, I'm, like I said, it took me a while to grow with it, because the fact was I saw it like, it was still women's bodybuilding, but still like it was watered down. It was kind of like back in memory 2000 units when they started putting the 92% rule, where they wanted women coming smaller, and they decided to split the baby and have the two classes had heavyweight and lightweight.
Right. That goes back to 1999 to the Miss Olympia then, because not only did one of the major promoters pull out of that show, but the advanced ticket sales were so low for that they seriously, that was the first year they considered getting rid of the Miss Olympia altogether. And then the Weider brothers stepped in and said, no, we're not going to let that happen. And so they decided to keep it on. The one thing that did change was it was pulled off of the main stage, and then it was put in the expo hall. That's why if you've ever seen the video of the 1999 Miss Olympia, it's in a very small stage with the sponsorship banner behind them. So, but then the following year, because the following year in 2000, Jim Mannion issued a memo saying everybody is getting way too big. We want to have women who've got muscle, but not in the extreme. And that was in 2000 was the year then they decided, okay, well, we're going to decide to do weight classes now at the Miss Olympia. And that's when it started. That's what pretty much started it, was back then. And then 2004 is when the 20% rule came out. But going back to what you said, Eunice, it's like about expenses. Teresa Ivancic just posted her travel costs on her story. It's $2,500 for just the two of them, for the flight and for the hotel. That's nuts. That is crazy. It's like she said that made her sick to her stomach. It's like she said that's one thing that she said in her story she's going to do is post the expenses that she has so that people get an idea just how expensive this really can be for a competitor. And that, but I've looked at that figure. It's like, that is crazy. That's on top of everything else that goes into go into a bodybuilding show. It's like, that's crazy. And so I'm glad, Eunice, that you've created something like this that helps to give back to the women and also helps to be able to do it financially, because it's like, this is getting nuts how expensive this is getting.
Thank you, Jeremy. Another thing we're doing is we are sponsoring athletes, paid. We are paying athletes a paid sponsorship, which there's not a lot of opportunity right now out for women with paid sponsorships. We've got several athletes throughout the year that we will be sponsoring. We don't want to disclose any names yet because we haven't signed contracts. We'll be signing a contract this week with one, and she'll actually be at the Triple O. So our sponsorship is generous enough to cover the expenses of travel, hotel, per diem, and makeup, hair, and tan. So we're happy about, how much we're able to help right now. And we're just a small business. We're just two girls that got together and said we need to do something. But it's going to take a village. Just like Teresa said, travel for her and her spouse. Travel's getting expensive. But if someone else could come up and do their part, then we could help. We could really do something. We could make a difference.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have somebody here. This is so the lovely, the giant slayer herself, Maria Queen Lieberman. It's
Hey,
very
Maria.
expensive to do a show, and Maria was on here last weekend. We do our lives. Also, this is from, my man Davius says bodybuilding stick together. all of them. And yeah, like I said, if you're in the stream, the bad rap IG's in the link. Also it's on the in the description in the video. We could go here into her the IG, and she's I think, like I said, I post anytime she tagged me something, I post it because I appreciate when she tags me and something like this. That's her. This is her and her partner Jolie. I saw this.
JoJo.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy. Y'all two have fun.
All right, let's go. Easy reps here. All right, nice. All right, here we go.
That's good. Y'all two look out for each other, and I don't know what happened. Something happened. You lost the picture. But also, she has other like videos here. Here she is with Ashley Jones. And Ashley Jones. I remember she told me a story about her and Ashley Jones, but and but seemed like y'all look like y'all on good terms now. And also, there's other like here's also we have you see Hella Trevino and Gina Cavallero. Um, Also here we have here there's a Alex Flex Hall who competed at the Rising Phoenix. She got her at Arizona Pro. I forgot Arizona Pro where she got her Olympic qualification. I think was Arizona she got an Olympic qualification.
Yeah, she got Olympic qualification, and she'll be competing again this year. So Alex will be an athlete that will be helping out as well.
Yeah, because I got to meet her a couple years ago at the Savannah Pro. I didn't know she was competing show. So hey, I did a video. I didn't know you competed show. Here is a lady outcome very friendly, the lovely Miss Monica Perez. And Monica, she is going over from physique to women's bodybuilding. And also she's gonna be in a movie which is coming out, I think, this month, which is about women's bodybuilding. It's about a female bodybuilder. It's right about the 80s. And she has a part in it, and she told me about this movie, and I say, I hope I'm gonna try to see it. But you're doing good work, Eunice. And bodybuilding
Thank you.
needs that. They need good people like you who really care, who really want to do. And also like this, it's the grassroots that really helps. Like how We the Strength started. And it was one of the few people that gave sponsorship to women. It's out to Jake Wood, and I gotta say, yo Jake. And now that I hate to see that the ambassador program is gone. I mean, it was something good. I mean, I think it was a while back. I remember Leah Poper said that she had been approached by physique figure and bikini girls about being part of, because we used to do a lot of photo sessions with a lot of these girls after the shows, but they want to be part of the ambassador program.
I guess I had a question for Eunice. It's wonderful what you're doing with your company. What about us fans? I mean, what about guys out there, especially guys, because there are some guys who are fans of this who are like loaded. I mean, they have got serious finances behind them. And it's like, what would you say to those people who are of means and who are nevertheless fans as to what they can do financially? I mean, just start. Would it be simply to increase prize money at shows? Would it be to pay for division fee at shows to be able to have the division at a show? What would you think would be the best thing for them to do financially from all your experience?
I would think the greatest contribution would be for them to, uh, all sponsor um, the prize money. Because whenever you start to, people will find a way. If they know that there's, something big out there, you start rewarding women like you do men, we're going to find a way, because we're used to always, we're used to fighting. We're used to finding resources, and we're going to find a way. Us women will stick together.
I remember as a kid, my mom used to always try to stretch $1. She found a way. My mom. I love my mom. She's the reason why I'm doing this. She used to say, if anybody knows this, it's clay dirt. It's like it gets out of the ground. She used to sell it, and that was a way she could make a little money because she was getting SSI. It's not much. You get a little check every once in a month. By the time I pay my rent and my light bill, I'm about already broke. But she found a way to make a hustle, and and women. I mean, like I said, y'all can make a hustle. I mean, like I said, one of my jobs was working in a strip club. Some of the girls, they had real jobs, but it was a way to make money in between, paying the bills. They got kids, and one thing I keep saying this, that there are guys out there who have deep pockets, who are smokes, who are fans of female bodybuilding but the thing is, they're feared about, if I put my name to this, I'm going to get branded as weird or something like that. But if you have a deeper pockets enough, you can hire somebody to be a representative. You can put you don't have to be out front. You have somebody who can do the legwork for you, and you just put up the money. Anybody got to say? Anybody got to say? I'm so used to be Keith.
I guess I had one other question to throw out to your guys. Some people have suggested that one thing that could possibly rejuvenate interest in, at least to the pro level of women's bodybuilding, is to bring back weight classes in the pro ranks like they had in 2000, 2005, to introduce a lightweight division and a heavyweight division like they had then, and to introduce something like that to both the Rising Phoenix and the Miss Olympia. Do you guys think that that would improve interest in the division, or would it have to be also that in a combination of the prize money? Or if they were to bring back weight classes, how much of an impact do you guys think it would have?
I put this to the expert. We have Ivy Pro here, and who's been around for a long time. I want to hear what she got to say.
Weight classes were always, to me, I like them because it was fair. You weren't competing against someone who was 5'10" standing next to you that made you look small, and especially when the rest of the girls are the same height. It's just natural for the judges' eyes to go up versus coming down. I think weight classes would be good, but the most important thing is the prize money. I think we've got to recoup the expenses that we spend. When you're spending $6,000, $7,000, even more actually, on a show, you can't seem to compete 2 or 3 times a year. Even for people who, I'm a masters competitor. I've had my career. I have a retirement. I have a business. So for me, it's not a burden like some other women, that are still young and still trying to raise a family. But we still want to recoup. Who wants to keep losing money? I mean, we love the sport, but loving the sport doesn't mean that we don't get to compete. That we want to compete 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah, and to me, if you're going to do weight classes, what's the point of a division like physique? You might always do this. Okay, just cut out the physique division, make it the lightweight division, and then figure where the girls are looking at now, call it the new physique division. It's truthfully, kick out the high heels but it's just, I don't know. I didn't like the idea of the light, because remember in 2000, they did this, they split the baby. Instead of having one definite title holder, either between Andrew Bichette or Valentina Shapigin, they split the baby. They get Andrew because that's what the crowd liked, because she was amazing, huge, great muscle. They had gotten Valentina because she had that look. She was very tall, very feminine, appealing. But then the next year they get Juliet Bergman, and then it was Juliet. It was title chance between Juliet and Iris that year. And people always go point Iris for the reason why the division changed, but actually it was Kim Zveski because you look Kim that year when she competed back in '99, she just was huge, you know, and then she stepped back and then she jumped over to figure and then into fitness.
Well, George, or it all goes back to when I stopped competing back in the late '90s. There was also a reason how come, and the biggest decision for me was I don't want to get that big. I don't want to look like that. I want to be able to identify as being a woman, looking feminine. The way the sport was going, I didn't want to have to get that big. I didn't want to do that. Um, so I chose just to, I'm going to live the lifestyle, but stop competing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough, like I said, but it's tough. Sport keeps evolving. If you like I said again, you had women's bodybuilding, and then it evolved to spin off fitness from it because some women were too small for bodybuilding. They wanted to go to a division that was more a little bit more their size, and um, you have uh, you have figure came because the girls in fitness didn't want to do all that jumping around and hopping. We have here the lovely lady who has been on before. This is the lovely Mrs. Maria Lieberman. She's coming through here. We got it in here. So, hello, Maria.
Hello,
Hi
Maria.
guys.
Hey,
Hi.
Maria.
Yeah. So, what's your thoughts? Because we were talking about original subject was about the Arnold pushing out, not having women's vitamin this year and hadn't had for the past 14 years, and pretty much other than fitness and wellness and bikini, no real muscle divisions for the women.
I'm actually very sad about it. It's I'm actually very sad, and it's like they taking out our throne. you know.
Yeah, it's because like I think everybody wants to go to Arnold. Arnold is a big show, the biggest show in bodybuilding next to Olympia, and everybody want to take a part in it. But then if you feel like you're not included, then what's the point of you know?
Yeah, they have bikini though.
Yeah, but bikini is so, like I know I talk to some ladies, they're not a big fan of bikini that much. They don't think it's like really like women's, really like women's bodybuilding. It's closer to what more pageantry than anything. But fitness, it's like one of the last divisions that really kind of started out, that kind of spin off women's bodybuilding. And I think this debate, I think because I remember back in 2022 when we still had figure and fitness. If you look at the girls backstage at both the fitness and the figure girls, you couldn't really tell the difference. Just about. Miss Trescott right beside Jessica Badia. You thought maybe they were both the same division if you looked at them. Anybody? Anybody got something to say? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. The fitness is. I'm a little fan of the fitness, but I was expecting to see more of the women's physique and the women's bodybuilding because we women we give it a show. We the fans they just go crazy about the big ladies like us, and I think the entertainment is for the male bodybuilders and also the female bodybuilders. When I was like looking at my Instagram and I see a lot of the female bodybuilders in the expo, whoa, there's a lot of selfie going on there. It would be nice to showcase our muscle at the Arnold's too. I felt like it's a little bit degrading for for us. But it's all about the promoters, right? And there's it's their decision.
Mhm. I also
Maria,
think so.
Maria,
Go
what
ahead.
do you think about the decision for them to up the prize money by $200,000 for the winner next year at the Arnold Classic for a total $500,000? But the regular argument that they keep giving at the Arnold is we don't have the money for the other divisions. What do you think of that?
Well, again, I think they're gonna really remove the female bodybuilding part of the Arnolds and really focus on the male bodybuilders, and that's why they are encouraging more male bodybuilders. But I think for that kind of prize money, they should, in my opinion, they should include women's bodybuilding and just not keeping up the male, because there's also a crowd and the fans that will buy the stream live, what you call this, the English.
Live stream, because I think the live stream this year was free. I think they had it for free.
Is it free this year?
It was
Mhm.
free, I believe it was, because I was thinking about checking it out because I want to check out
Yeah,
the
it
amateur
was.
show.
It was.
And yeah, it was free because I want to check out the amateur show. And then they only had, I missed it. They only had three women for women's bodybuilding and physique.
There's a lot of there's a lot of prize money to be just kept for just one division. Spread the love, spread it, spread with the female bodybuilders too. It's I miss that. I miss there is no female bodybuilders in this year. I didn't even watch it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people didn't. Well, other the people who are just fans of the show,
I
like one thing
know.
is like the one thing is the sports festival. That's really popular because
Yeah.
it's there's like they have like one back they start having like pole dancing, and then they have slap fights. Yo, we got here, my man here. Here he is, my brother. I wasn't sure because he's wait, he's in the hospital. What the man? Why, man?
What's up?
What's up? That's my man, Big Keith, aka Scuba C, aka the Black Hulk Hogan, brother. And he's right now he's recuperating. I wasn't sure he was gonna make it. I didn't want him to make it because he needs to rest. You're old man. You need rest.
Catching up to me. That's all right.
Yeah. So this is a man like basically you've been around in bodybuilding just as long as Eunice, just as long as and you've seen how the Arnold Schwarzenegger classes has evolved over years because you heard they're gonna shoot up to $500,000 next year. You
You didn't
think
see my
it's gonna?
clearly you didn't see my post after that.
I missed it.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, and I said this last week. How the fuck do you have it? How do you call it a sports festival when you exclude certain sports? How do you consider a sports festival when you're excluding certain sports?
Exactly.
So it's like I competed in the Olympics in 1996, and that's like saying the Olympics take sports in and out of games, but at the exact same time, you don't exclude certain sports out. You don't exclude all the women's sports. It's like, oh, it's going to be the Olympics, but we're not going to have women compete. We're just going to have men competing in the Olympics. It's the same thing. So it makes no sense how you sit there and say you're going to have all these, you're going to boost the money up more than Olympia, and clearly he was top in the Olympia, but you're not including all the other sports. Well, no shit, you can bump the money up because you bumped all the other categories out, including the 212. So how do you consider it to be a sports festival? That's my question.
That's a great point. That's an excellent point. I mean, how
That,
can you how can you bump the prize money up by $250,000 and then at the same time say you don't have the money for the women? How can you say that? I
well, I mean,
mean,
they don't even have the money for the 212 even. So it's like, how
yeah.
do you do that? You know, because what they're doing is they're making all the money off the Arnold Amateur show and inserting it into the men's bodybuilding, and it's bullshit. It's not a sports festival, and it's a joke. And I called them out on sports media or sports or social media and said, "This is just like the New York Pro." Oh, Tyler Mannion went out and said, "Hey, This is going to benefit the sport." So the men's open bodybuilding is now 50 grand was going up from 20 grand to 50 grand. That's only a benefit in one class. I don't understand. And I don't even know what women categories where they have wellness and bikini, or I know they have wellness and fitness at the Arnold Classic, but that's it. But what about figure fitness or figure women's bodybuilding and women's physique? Those are big ass classes to exclude out of a show. And women's bodybuilding, those are big classes to exclude out of a show. So it's not technically a sports festival. You call it a men's open bodybuilding show with extra shit that you're adding into it, because that's what it is. It's not a festival. What you should name it is the Arnold Classic. You shouldn't name it the Arnold Sports Festival. It should be called the Arnold Classic. That's what it should be called now. It should not be called a sports festival anymore, because that's not what it is. And that's facts.
Because if you think about it, as we all know, and I keep saying this, that the men's division they're the bottom bitch. They're the ones that always get the money, they get the attention. I mean, they're the ones that it's a division that starts everybody else. You have women's bodybuilding, then you had the men, but it should be everybody should be included, because if you're just gonna have we're gonna have fitness, which is one of the toughest divisions in the IFBB, I would say. And then you have the two TNA divisions, that's wellness and physique, because they're very popular, because you see a lot of girls who are jumping over to wellness in bikini. I know I interviewed a lady who did wellness, but she went back to physique. One young lady, she was competing in wellness, but then she got a pro card as a bodybuilder. It's just,
So here'd be the question that you pose. Seeing that two of the guys came from 212, Hade and Derek Langford, both came from 212. How would they feel if they was 212 class and competing in 212 and they didn't have it? Because Hade and Derek started off at 212 guys. Think about it. Mm-hmm. Hade, who's the champion now, and Derek, who's the Olympian champion now, were 212 guys. So if you now the 212 is out, how would they feel if they were still in that situation that they're in and 212 guys?
Yeah.
We got hurt.
Yeah, we got here. This is our man, Raheem Helmer says, George, what's going on? Well, Raheem, we're talking about the subject is about the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic, the wins bodybuilding deserve, because I know you have he'll talk about this, because Raheem's really knowledgeable. And also he has this, he says this to you, Keith, he says, Keith, feel better.
Trying to. Hopefully I'll be out of here tomorrow. I've been here for 4 days. It sucks. I got COVID, and then I got some other good stuff going on, so it's been a bad deal, but God is on my side, so I'm good. But anyway.
Yeah. I tell you, I've been in the hospital for a couple of days before. I remember one time, just before I got a pacemaker, I was in a cardiac unit about a week. I tell you, you just like, you gotta get out of there. But yeah, it's just that.
I mean, people got to think about that though. Derek Langford was a 212 champion at the Olympia. Hade Kupa, before he got over here, was destroying everybody in Iran before they finally left the ban off, and was a 212 guy. They weren't open guys to start off with. But now you're eliminating that class as well as all these other women classes. And for what reason? We know that the Arnold, so he announced that it was a sold out crowd. He announced that it was the biggest expo, one of the biggest expo they have. So they're not losing money. If you're not losing money, why are you excluding these other categories? I mean, it just, to me, it shows you're a misogynist asshole. No offense at all.
we heard you, Tina. We heard you.
Sorry.
I mean, but seriously.
Yeah, well, let your wife sit and give her thoughts because I know she really wants to say something. You got to,
What?
yeah, because this is
You really
really,
want my opinion?
yeah, this is concerning really women like you
Arnold
and
Schwarzenegger
Eunice.
hates women. He doesn't respect women. He wants stripper poles and fucking bikini girls in his show. That's what he wants.
Yeah, because they do have pole dancing at the Arnold Classic, and they have slap
Well,
fights.
if you remember what he told Irene Anderson, he said when she had asked him in the movie that she had put out, why don't you have women's bodybuilding? And he said, because women need to be pole dancers or bikini girls. That's what he said.
Oh
It came out
wow.
of his mouth.
Yeah.
So,
And then he says he can't have certain divisions at the show. If you can have the medieval fighting championship, which is where no bullshit, guys are dressing up in medieval suits of armor and going at each other. If you've got the money for something like that, you've got the money for these women's divisions. I mean,
yeah.
don't tell me that the audience for the medieval fighting championship is bigger than that for bodybuilding. I mean, don't even give me that argument.
Yeah, and it's not. But the thing is he's never going to prioritize women because he doesn't respect them. And Linda Murray called him out on it when she got the Arnold Award. She said, the great thing about this world is that I can be who I want to be because I'm an American and I don't want to be a cheerleader. I want to be a female bodybuilder. And if
Yeah.
you notice, when she said that, he didn't clap. He did not stand up. He did not recognize her at all. And he was totally pissed off about the fact that she even got the award. So at the end of the day, I mean, let's just be honest. He doesn't respect women. He definitely doesn't respect women bodybuilding. And it's funny to me because the whole basis of what this entire division is based off of, whether it's wellness or bikini, started with fucking women's bodybuilding because these didn't even exist. So it's like, what are we even talking about?
Yeah, we got to say something, Eunice.
No, I'm just still. I've got my mind on the Triple Dynasty,
Yeah.
and can't wait to be there because I think that's going to be where we need to focus and who we need to promote.
Yeah, we most definitely, as you know,
Amen.
that is a show that I think is if we get people to get behind it and support it, it can really grow. I have a comment here. This is from Natalia Correjo, who's still watching. He says, "I tried to join, but didn't work. I'm still here." Thank you, Natalia. And maybe in the future, if you want to do something with me, shoot me on my IG. I
Hey,
can
I can
have
say
you
one thing,
on.
George. There's
But
great to see some women on the show for once.
yeah,
You know,
it's not too much. We actually have we're kind of outnumbered. We outnumbered right now. We have art here, so But it's like I said, the man said like it may not be the A's, but I'm down with the ladies. So and also this is from man Adam. He says you're right. You're absolutely right, 100%. Because you ladies, like I said again, I'm gonna say this. Even though I grew up watching the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, I watched the Terminator, the Predator, the Conan the Barbarian. You better get to the chopper. I love that. But when I started doing this content and start hearing people like what Tina's saying, other people telling me about Arnold, I was like, damn. I mean, and then he cheated on his wife with the maid, and it just I wish there was more people.
he's he looks like a more male chauvinist asshole than anything by doing what he's doing. Because clearly we understand that women's bodybuilding, women's physique, women's figure. It takes a fucking lot of work to do those categories, and just to be disrespectful and to sit there and say, "Well, I'm gonna throw more money at men's open bodybuilding," which I'm an open bodybuilder. I get it. I shouldn't have any qualms with it, but you do because again, at the end of the day, that's what the problem is.
And how come they? I know because there's not much of entry for women's physique for amateur, right?
Hmm.
They don't give away pro card. It's
Well, like I said, there was only 3 women at the show. One lady, I just reached out to her. Name is Abby Lopez. She won for the overall for women physique, but because there wasn't enough bodies, because you have to have at least so many competitors, because you have so many different classes, and each
mm,
overall, then you win for the title.
Wait a
So
minute. So you have amateur women's physique, but you don't have open women's physique. What the fuck?
Right.
yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
They
Yeah,
can
and
even give
also,
away pro card.
and, last year they had open. They started last year. They started open women's bodybuilding, but that year they only had 4 women because I interviewed one of the girls who competed at show, Jarissa. So it's about the money because you got to pay interest fee. Remember that year they were going to cancel on amateurs because Jim Livermere, or what his name was, he died, and then in the last minute they say we're going to have it. But then think about it, when we refunded people their money, and it's right about Christmas time. That's like, okay, $300, $600, $700 I'm getting back, where I can probably spend it on my family or do something that I want to do for the holidays. That was smart. Um, this is from Man Rahim. He says this. He says, question: female bodybuilding shows, are they more in the red or the black? And just want to know if there's more money in it than. So what you ladies think? This is about you ladies. You think there's more money for in bodybuilding than compared to the other divisions, or it's just you're just struggling?
Well, here's I'll answer the question for him. I don't know if they can hear what you're saying. Here's the thing: when you go to bodybuilding shows, people are bodybuilding are fans of the sport in general. So when you're looking at it, how do we know if they're fans of the men, fans of the women, or they're diversified and just fantastic, or just fascinated by the sport in general? So we don't really know. You would have to. That would be a crazy poll to try to pull. It'd be interesting for somebody to go do something like they have these polls on Instagram all the time where you say, how many of you guys are a fan of men's bodybuilding? How many are a fan of, because if we really look at it, it'd probably mean like classic physique, uh, men's physique, bikini, and shit like that. The classes where there are more people apt to be able to obtain that look than to attain a look of men's bodybuilding or women's bodybuilding. So if you did a poll, it'd be interesting to see if you did a poll how that would work out to be, what those numbers would be. Because like I said, I've done the Chicago Pro where by the time the show ends and the open bodybuilding's on stage, there were fucking like 50 people, if that, in the audience watching us compete. And that's when you had Rolly Weekler, me, uh, uh, what was his name, Michael Lockett, and it was like maybe 25 people in the audience because we were the last guys to go on stage, and we were making the most money. So again, at the end of the day, when you go back and look at amateur shows and you go back and look at uh, that's why people are, again, we talked about this, George, that's why people put on pro-am shows, because amateurs make more money than bring more bodies than pros. And when you really look at the classes that bring in the most money are bikini, men's physique, classic physique, women's physique. Bodybuilding, I would say, in an amateur show probably brings in the least amount of people into the show. So how does that translate to it flipping to now that you have open men's pro shows, which these guys only do 1 or 2 shows a year, that now men's bodybuilding is the more popular show, about more popular class out of all these other classes? It doesn't make sense whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
I think also a lot of people are going towards the bikini and the glutes and all those stuff. We female bodybuilders, we have our own fans that loves our muscles. And again, there are some people that they don't accept us because we are too look like a man, or we are way too much of a muscle. Some they don't accept us.
I agree.
yeah, because I think it's just always going to be that people have the ideal, especially for women, what y'all supposed to be. Women are supposed to be soft, women are supposed to be feminine. They don't want women with a lot of muscle around them. But then again, you have right here people like Tina. She's a beautiful woman. Eunice, you're a beautiful woman. Maria, you're a beautiful woman. Natalia, she's a beautiful woman. You're all beautiful women. You have the right to be where you need to be. You are athletes. You're professionals. And if somebody like Arnold don't care about you, well, man, Brady Mack said, "Fuck him."
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think she said it correctly, but we're not accepted by some people. And society especially. I mean, I work in a bar, have for years, and I get people that truly admire me and are like blown away by the way I look, and I get people that think it's absolutely disgusting and they have nothing but negative things to say about it. and there's no in between. You either admire it or you hate it. And I feel like, especially coming from a man like Arnold, now that he's not in his prime anymore, he doesn't like for a woman to look better than he does. And that might sound really
Because you
stupid.
look good than Arnold.
Yes. So,
You look
exactly.
good.
And
See,
I
this is
don't think he likes that. I think it's intimidating for a woman to look stronger than he is. I think
that's
it's intimidating for him to come around alpha females because he's not built to be a guy to be around that. And now that he's older, I think he's become less attracted to that because he's such a chauvinistic asshole that he doesn't want that to be around because that's not that's not the way women should be. Women shouldn't be stronger physically than men. Women shouldn't be mentally stronger than men. That's just the way he thinks. And it's clearly coming out that that's the person he's always been. But Arnold's never been this old and Arnold's never been this out of shape. So I feel like it's more of a, I don't know, it's more of an ego thing for him than anything, especially when it comes to the women.
where I come
I
from.
think Arnold should evolve because the generation now, women are powerful and strong.
Amen.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, this is one thing I'm saying. This a man can never compete with a woman. He shouldn't try. We're different. Men and women are different. If any man try to compete with women, get some sugar in your tank. That's not right. I mean, there's something. It's one thing when I compete with another man. We're almost on an equal playing field. With a woman, there's no competition.
There's not, but in the sense of being alpha strong, women bodybuilders are alpha strong. And I'm telling you, men, a lot of men do not like that. They do
Exactly.
not. Alpha women are so mentally strong that men find it challenging, and a lot of guys do not like that part.
But this time is you can't be over too alpha. You still want to be a little
There's
bit
never
more.
too alpha for a female, George. Don't even
You
try.
can't be you're like
There's
George,
never.
like
we rule.
like hey one thing is like hey I don't want to be fighting a woman, but I'm like this. My mama taught me if somebody comes here to fight me, man, woman, or beast, we're going down. That's it. But that's the thing. I don't want to fight a woman, but if you want to fight me, hey, we got here from man Raheem says this. He says I'm talking about if people who runs the female bodybuilding shows are making a profit or not in the black or in the red. Well, it's all depending on them. They'll tell you, let you know. Most of them they don't say anything. My man Adam, he says, "You're right, George. Women are beautiful. Yes, they are beautiful." And he also said, "This is for Raheem. The women have to ask the owners to show them the books, and I think they're not going to do it. I
Well,
remember."
You
no,
know what, George? I'm going to tell you something. We women, we always find a way to shine no matter what.
well,
Yeah.
to answer his question, the way that they do the ticket sales right now, you can't determine the popularity or unpopularity of any individual division.
Nope.
Because I mean that one ticket is good for all of the women's shows for that particular night. Let's say Friday night. That's going to be women's bodybuilding, women's physique, figure, and fitness. They're all lumped together in that one ticket sale. So unless you actually tell them what you are there to see, how are you going to know? How are
Yeah.
you going to be able to find it
Chris,
out?
Chris,
So the one and
Chris.
only way that they would do that, if to answer the question that was asked in the comments, you'd have to charge a separate ticket per division. You'd have to charge one for women's bodybuilding, women's physique, figure, and fitness, and then get the raw numbers for that. Because
So
short
Chris,
of that, there's no way you can determine the popularity or unpopularity of any division.
Chris Imams had an idea when he used to do the Lip Oregano Classic that I've done a few times, and he's like, he was talking about profit sharing with the athletes, and it was an idea. It was this idea up in the air where if you went to a show, which included women's, it didn't have women's bodybuilding, but it had women's physique, things like that. That when you went to buy your ticket, that you would click on what athlete you would go to see. So an athlete would get a share of that. If that somebody bought a ticket for a show, and you're like, I'm there to see when I was competing was Dallas McCarver, it was Justin Compton, it was Brandon Curry, it was me, Charles Griffin. So you would click on, I'm coming to the show to see this particular person. That's what, in essence, what he's saying right now is that if you can do that, which here's the thing, the one thing that the IFBB and the NPC is never going to let you see is their books. And you go to we talked about this when you go to certain shows in Pittsburgh, you got to go to you go to certain Jack Tatone shows, you got to go to a head up ATM machine because this is the one sport that I find fascinating that you have a lot of them deal with cash. A lot of sports did that. You don't deal with cash anymore. You deal with credit cards. But the shows in Pittsburgh, we all know, and Jack the Tone shows, I know for a fact that they want those ATM machines full because they don't want to use credit cards because then you can track numbers. That's all I'm going to say. But at the exact same time, we would be able to have a great poll on this if a person sit there and say, if you can go online and buy a ticket, when you go to a football game, you're going to watch a football goddamn game. Ain't nothing else you're going to see. But when you're going to a bodybuilding show, say, I'm going to buy a ticket. What are you going to see? It's just like the Olympia. I don't think you can pay cash to the Olympia either. I think some of these shows, like, I don't know if Arnold takes cash, or maybe he does or whatever, but these smaller venue shows, a lot of them take cash. Like I know Nationals take cash, things like that, because tickets I think a ticket to go to Nationals is $100. Who wants to track all that money? Who wants their money to be tracked like that? Yeah. Nobody does. Some of these guys don't. So again, at the end of the day, like he said, it's unrealistic. It's an unrealistic point of view to ever think that we'll ever know if they're coming to see women's bodybuilding, if they're coming to see women's compete, because they won't track it.
Yeah, because you competed. You got the pro card. Was it at the North Americans?
Universe, Mr. Universe. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about Eunice. Eunice, you got your pro card in North Americans, right?
No, I got my pro card at the Masters Nationals.
Masters Nationals, and you had to, when you paid the entry fee, was it credit or cash?
It's actually credit to do an entry fee via email or online.
But here's the thing, George. She had to pay cash. She had to pay by credit card because they don't want a bunch of money orders. They don't want a bunch of cash being sent in. But the people who were coming to watch her compete have to pay cash.
Oh.
So again, what we're saying, George, is simply this. If a person who is coming to watch her compete says, I am coming to watch this particular athlete compete in this class, mark it now. But they're not doing that because they're too much. They're too worried about the money, and let's say every Jack the Tone shows, I know you cannot pay with credit card. You have to pay with cash. He does not accept credit cards. So you can't go into the Omaha Pro, or you can't go to the Midwest, whatever Muscle Fest or whatever the hell he calls his shows, and as a spectator, pay with a credit card. You have to pay with cash. That's a lot of paperwork.
I like this. I barely carry cash. I carry cash when I go to the laundromat because I needed to get some quarters to the machine. Other than that, most of my money is direct deposit. And the only time I get cash is like, okay, like if my brother gives me some money for part of the rent or something like that, that's the only time I have cash. Most people don't have cash anymore like it used to be. I know some people who still get a paper check when they get their disability and stuff like that, but most people go to the bank because the fact is, hey, it can be followed. If something happens, you can trace it back and try to see what's going on. We got here my man Bevis Adams. He said like this. He said, I still love women bodybuilding. I accepted it. This is from Raheem. He says, did you all see the women who got pregnant even when he was in his prime? I think he was talking about Arnold. And also, I'm coming onto the show next week, Monday. Okay. So, but like I said, let's move on from the Arnold. Let's let him do what he want to do. That's his show. Got his name on it. He don't care about bodybuilding. Free bodybuilding. We don't care about him. Let's focus on shows like, the Triple O Dance is coming up. Shout out to Natalia who's taking part of that show. Shout out to Andrea. Shout out to Whitney, and shout out to Sydney. Let's also focus on the Rising Phoenix, which is the Women's Bodybuilding World Championship, and also the Arizona Pro, which is part of that show. And also the new show coming up in Anaheim, the Grand Prix Titan. Also I saw this, and it's posted. Alina Popa is going to have a show in Romania, the Alina Popa Classic, because it's in the same place where they had the Masters Olympia last year. So if that show is going to be next year and they make Master Olympia, I think this should do this. The Master Olympia should be in the States and have it in Orlando where the Olympia used to be, since the Olympia is back in Vegas.
I could dig it.
It's cheaper.
Yeah.
It's cheaper. It's so expensive to go to Romania.
Yeah. because I think I think for the Selena show that'd be good for competitors overseas like Virginia Sanchez, Jay Fuchs, Julia Foray. I saw Julia was hanging out with Ashley Hadley in Texas this weekend. Those competitors who it's hard for them to travel back and forth. They have a lease because the local show has been dropped, but there's another show takes place. You still have Portugal Pro. There was supposed to show for women's bodybuilding in the UK, but it's just physique now. More opportunities.
That's fine.
Yeah. This is from my man Raheem. He says, ladies, just get y'all suits from Rainbow and Gap or Victoria's Secrets and call in a day. They won't know that cuts back on cost. Raheem, didn't Tina tell you the last time why they don't get your phone to your wife and then tell them why Tina he did it again. He told you this. He said, this is what Raheem says. Ladies, get your suits from Rainbow, The Gap, or Victoria's Secret and call it a day. They won't know that cuts back on costs. Because he said it again. The last time he told him. Hello?
Hey, George, I'm going to have to go.
All right.
But thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, we'll appreciate you, Tina. And take care of my big brother. Also, this is for a man, Raheem says, Keith, this is 2024. Who in God's green still pays in cash? Well, some people still do. But, it's just, like I said again, we're going to move on and focus more on the shows that's giving opportunities for women's bodybuilding.
Right.
I think
exactly.
so.
Yeah. And Arnold, like I said, you can keep your little show. You can keep your little show. Jake, if you go shoot the prize money for men's bodybuilding, shoot prize money for women's bodybuilding. Andrea should be getting $200,000.
Yep.
Even Sarah, she don't need it because she's rich. Sarah should get a little bit more, like $100,000. I think everybody should, like I said, if there's like one thing, if there's more people who step up, and I know I keep saying this when I do my interviews, you guys out there who are fans of women's bodybuilding, who have deep pockets, who have the means and the way, who probably want to sponsor an athlete, like maybe someone like Maria, but not the weird stuff like, hey Maria, yeah, you're cute little honey. No. You want to say, Mr. Lieberman, I got a plan for you. Something like that. Or you reach out to someone like Eunice and sponsor her bad rap. She can use, she has sponsors, but it never hurt to have a little bit more hands into the cookie jar and to help the product grow. You just gotta take a chance. Anything in life is worth having if you want to fight for it.
That's gonna keep the women's bodybuilding going.
Yeah. So the next show will show how many people bought tickets for the female bodybuilding shows. Well, here again, when I bought tickets for my first bodybuilding show in Savannah, I bought tickets for two things: the pre-judging and the finals. I watched all the divisions. They had men's classic in Savannah. They had women's bodybuilding. They had figure and they had bikini. No, physique and bikini at Savannah. I watched all shows. If I was just somebody saying, you know what, I'm just gonna watch physique and women's bodybuilding and get out, but I had to wait because I had to wait through the men's men's classic, or as I call it, men's figure. Had to wait through that to get to the other shows. It's about where they put the divisions at. But like I said,
George, all that started after COVID. The separating the women and the men's prejudging, because it used to be all together and you only bought one ticket. But when they figured out during COVID that, they had to just minimize the crowd, and so they separated men from women, they never went back to just paying just one price for men and women. Now they separate. Oh, if you're going to see a man compete, you got to buy a separate ticket for prejudging. And if you're going to see a woman compete, you got to buy a separate ticket for prejudging. Same thing for the night show. Night show, it is all together. But they figured out a way how to make money. They never went back to how it used to be. But anyway, it's just, it is about money.
Yeah, it's about money.
It's
But like,
about money. But I'm going to have to go. It's been
Me
great.
too.
Yeah, so am I.
yeah,
But it's been great to talk to all of you. I've been wanting to hear what other people have to say about this whole situation with the Arnold. So great to see you both, ladies. Great to see you, George. And
all right.
Bye.
I
Good to
can't
see you,
wait to
Thank you,
see
Jeremy.
what
George.
happens.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah,
wait to see
guys.
what
Jeremy.
happens with the Triple O Dynasty show.
Well,
So
we'll
I
be
can't
All
wait to
there.
right.
see what happens with that. So
Yeah.
Thank you
Well,
very
I
much.
appreciate y'all coming through. Good luck to y'all. Can't wait and wish you best of luck. Also, I want to shout out the people that was here. My man, Davis Adams, Raheem Hamilton, Natalia Cuejo, who was here. If Natalia, if you still watching this, you can go to my IG, shoot me a link, shoot me a request. I can have you on, and we can talk about this. Get your side, get your side. And also, we can talk about your plans for the Triple O Dynasty if you're still watching, But folks, I'd like to thank everybody comes through. My man KL the Wanderer. Anybody who watched this video, share, comment, subscribe. Shout out my brother Big Keith. I hope you feel better, brother. Take your time. Reason why you're seeing me because I wasn't sure you're gonna make it or not. But I wish you best good health, safe recovery, and just take care of yourself and your family. So, folks, if you are a fan, I left a poll in in the in the comment section. If you watch the Arnold, cool. If you didn't, cool too. I mean, the fact is, women's bodybuilding deserves equal representation on almost any show. It deserves opportunity to be seen. These women put in much time and work as the men do, and I think they deserve the chance to be on the stage. But if you know what, if all not going to have them, they have their own stage. Do like what Jake did, create the Rising Phoenix. Also, do what Sydney and Whitney and Andrea did, and have the Triple O Dynasty show. It's just just opportunity that they want to stand along with their brethren, the men's bodybuilding. They want to be seen as equals. But we all know, it's just truthfully, it's about the money. It's about just the idea of what is more convenient. But like I say, you're not going to change anything. But things going to just like. But here's again, Arnold, we don't need you anymore. We don't. Like I said, you're doing your thing, cool. But like I said, you don't have respect for these women, put as much time work as the men do. And like I said, like Tina said, you don't have respect for women at all. So we're just gonna forget about you, Arnold. We're gonna move on. And we're gonna focus on the future. Let's hope that Triple Dynasty and also the other shows gonna be back next year. Maybe we get more promoters, take opportunities and sponsorships, and want to give women's bodybuilding a place in the sport. More shows. I was hoping 2024 was a little better, but it's got a little better. Shout out to people like Leah Popa. Shout out to Jake Wood. Yo, Jake. I want that money. I want that gun. And shout out to all you fans out there who support women's bodybuilding. And if you are so interested again, who have deep pockets, who's a fan of the sport, who want to see, better prize money, more shows, reach out to the people, reach out to the promoters, come together, and try to help this sport. It deserves it. These ladies put as much work time in it, and they deserve, just as much recognition. So, folks, I'd like to thank y'all for coming through. Thanking my guests for coming through and giving their thoughts. I appreciate it. If you missed it, you can watch it again. And if you have something you want to talk about that you're interested in, shoot at me on my IG. Also, if you want to follow, check out Eunice's Bad Rap products. The link is in the description and also in the comment section. So you can go over there if you're looking for if you're a competitor, look for like something nice to wear and something just looking good. But like I said, let's support all these competitors and all these men and women in sport of bodybuilding. And Rich Bell always your page, aka the Emperor of Female Body Talk. Don't like, subscribe. I am out. Have a good evening and good night.